How to literally force people to read your manga is the job of your first manga page, and in this video we will go over all of the things that you need to make your first manga page the reason why readers feel forced to continue reading. Let's get started.
僕は漫画家になりたかった。
Welcome to episode 6 of Path to Mangaka, the new manga making series where we will be talking about everything that goes into making manga, and today we will be talking about making your first manga page. And so when you are making your first manga page, you need to think about one thing, which is hook. Your job with the first manga page is to hook the reader, because hooks boost the emotional engagement when the readers are reading your manga, right? And so when someone reads your manga, right, and they read the first page, this is where they will actually decide if they want to continue reading or not, right? And so your job as a mangaka with the first page that you do is to make a huge impact and make it memorable for the readers. This is our job as mangakas, because if we don't put a lot of effort into the first page, most people will actually not continue reading. But the question is now, how do we actually go about making the hook? And so let's start with how to hook the reader through your visuals. And the first thing that you can do is using strong visual impact. To explain this, I will be going over a mistake a lot of people do, which is that a lot of people think that they need to put a lot of effort into the climax scene of their manga, which is 100% true. But you need to put as much effort in your first manga page, because if you don't put as much effort into the first manga page and you finish it quickly or something, then a lot of people will probably not even reach the climax scene where you've put a lot of effort. And this is a mistake I used to do in the past as well, and I understood that I have to put a lot more effort into the first page. Now, you don't necessarily have to show much, like when it comes to the strong visual impact, like your drawings, you don't have to show much, but what you show should basically make a strong impression. Like basically make the best drawing that you could ever come up with in the first page, because this will give a very strong impact at the beginning. Now, the next thing you can do with the visuals is making unique panel layout. Now, do not be too wild about it like here, because you probably cannot do something like this in the first page because you need a lot of build up to do something like this, but just make it kinda unique. Like the paneling that you do should match the situation and the story instead of like distracting the reader, right? So when I say go wild, I do not mean something like this. I just mean making it kinda unique, okay? The next thing that you can do with the visuals to force the reader to actually continue reading is ending the page with a cliffhanger. This is such a good strategy to actually force people to continue reading. So you have to make the reader want to flip to the next page. Otherwise, they have no reason to do it, right? You can't take it for granted that people will read your manga. You need to actually think about all of this stuff for people to actually want to flip to the next page. And this is something that is taught in, Japanese manga schools all of the time. Now, again, as we said, the art needs to capture the reader's attention immediately. And so, put as much of your effort into the first page. Okay, please, if there's a page in your manga that you want to make as good as possible, then make that the first page. All right. Now, next, we can actually hook the reader through our story. And so the first thing that you can do is actually either asking a question or making the reader want to ask a question. So let's see the example here. What does it mean to be a human? This is such a banger of a hook through the story. The visual are, interesting, but nothing too crazy. But this line alone is making me want to read the entire manga, honestly. Okay? So this is like making the reader ask a question, and also they are asking a question at the same time. Like, the question is, what does it mean to be a human? He's asking the reader, right? But the reader also is like, what does it mean to be a human? And so you need to let the reader be part of the story by making them think along. So if you make the reader think along your story, then they will be completely hooked and they will 100% continue reading your story, and they will be feeling absolutely forced. The next thing that we have is actually something to avoid, which a lot of people do, is avoiding having too much text. As you can see here, Endeavor is saying, I ain't reading all that, okay? I ain't reading all that. If you have something like this in your manga, I ain't reading all that, okay? Now, in this manga, this actually has a purpose, so this has been done intentionally. It's not bad in this exact situation, but for you, you should definitely not do this, because when the readers actually read your manga, especially like the first page, they will be completely scared away, and they will definitely not continue reading, because they will be like, yeah, I could just probably read a novel or something. I don't need to, look at this right here. Also, especially like in the first page, you should have only a few words or like short sentences. Again, it will scare the readers a lot. And those, words that you put in there, they should have, meaning. Like they should be meaningful words. This is very important. The next thing that we have, which is one of the best things to do, is giving a message. When you actually link the message of your story with the first page, the reader will actually know what kind of direction the story will go into and what you actually want to tell with that story. And so if they are interested in that message and they actually care about, the topic, then they will 100% read your manga. And here's the thing, you do not have to make the message for everyone. You should just aim the message to be to a certain kind of group. Because not every single person will actually like your manga. Like, there will be people who are just not interested in the topic, and that's okay. Because we are making the message and the manga for the people who are interested in this kind of message. And so the way to do that with your message is through actually hooking the reader through throwing in a question that is related to your message, or just basically making them, think on their own. With the first page, I really want you to ignore other details for now. Details like world building, settings, characters, something like that. All of these things can actually wait for the following pages. Now, there are some people who, talk about world building in the first page, but I don't really recommend this, because unless you actually come up with something completely unique and something that has never been done before, then yes, maybe you could go for the world building hook, but I don't really recommend it, because going with all of these things that we talked about is actually way easier, and it will fit most stories way easier. Now, here's your homework for this episode. So what you need to do is to basically create the first page of a manga story. So very important, you do not need to have the entire story figured out. You just need the general idea and you need the main protagonist. If you have been watching the series, then you could, see all of these things in, the previous homeworks, because we already talked about the general idea and, the protagonist and characters. And the goal with that is to make it in a way that would make people would love to read more. So basically, when I read the first page that you make, you need to make me actually want to continue reading, even if you don't have the manga, right? So only create the first page of a random manga story that you want, okay? This is your homework. Now, if you want more help, you can actually read and watch the exclusive guide that we made, which is completely for free, by the way. It's in the top link in the description. The reason why I'm saying this is to get all of the necessary templates, including how to make a hook for your first manga page, because we included a lot of templates in this, exclusive guide that we made for free again. And all you need to do is just to go watch it right now and make your homework afterwards. All right, that was episode 6 of Path to Mangaka, and don't forget to watch the rest of the episodes if you haven't already, and see you in the next episode.
僕は漫画家になりたかった。